Welcome. Hi. Before we begin our Missoula Manor Homes April birthday party and annual talent show, I need to make an announcement. The Montana Access Citizens Television Company in Missoula has offered to videotape this for us so that we can see it on television, or even if we want to, buy a DVD. So it's channel 189, and we will be informed when it will be on. In the meantime, if anybody objects to being videotaped, even though you know nobody's going to sell your picture anywhere, I need to know so that our friendly photographer, Scott, can avoid filming you. Is there anybody who has an objection? I guess not. Thank you very much. One more announcement is that we will not serve refreshments until after the resident talent has completed their show. And we do have our wonderful Betty Crowley here, who will start out the music for us with sing-alongs and her own original piano playing. But the refreshments will not be served until after the talent show. The second thing is that Jean Dixon, who is listed on the program, does not feel well and will not be performing. So I guess we can go ahead and start. And as you see in our program, we open with Betty Crowley, another opening, another show. Our first resident is Fred Collins, who will deliver a poem and some apt jokes. I guess I should stand by the mic. Fred Collins.
Thank you for that. Nobody would know otherwise. Boy, I'll tell you what, it takes an awful lot of ego for me to stand up here and to entertain, if that is the word. I read something yesterday that gave me a real belly laugh, and I hope it will you. It's a story by Charles Corral. Anyone remember him? Yes. Charles Corral. I found this in the fiction section, which I don't think it belongs there, but his buddy Charles Osgood wrote this as the introduction to it. It says, Charles' joy was to show something beautiful that somebody did, while many of us in the TV news were out there trying to expose somebody's mistakes or misdeeds, or we're trying to catch some high official with his pants down. That used to be a figure of speech. That's all? Well, The rest of this is ad lib. I remember a story by, gee, I forget who now. Anyhow, Joe was in a pet shop going to buy a parrot because he wanted someone to talk to him and someone that he could talk to. So I went to the pet shop and asked if they had a parrot. Well, sure we do, of course. So the clerk brought the parrot, he set the cage on the counter, and the parrot looked at Joe. Then he looked at the clerk and he said, "Who is it?" Well, the parrot would talk, so Joe bought it and the cage, and he took it home. And after a week or so, the only thing that parrot would say is, "Who is it?" Well, Joe had to get a plumber to take care of his sink. And this plumber was really a excessively high blood pressure guy. He was a perfectionist. When he said 2 o'clock, you'd be there at 2 o'clock. Well, Joe would, except he got hung up in traffic. And 10 minutes before 2, that plumber was there and he knocked on the door. And from inside, the parrot said, "Who is it?" "It's the plumber." And then there was nothing. There was no, "Well, come on in or I'll be there in a second." And he listened and nothing was happening. He knocked again. And again the parrot said, "Who is it?" And he said, "It's the plumber." And still there was no noise, no "come on in." He was getting mad now, and his doctor for 2 years has warned him about getting mad because his blood pressure could kill him. But he knocked long and hard, and again the parrot said, "Who is it?" "It's the plumber." And he dropped dead right there on the floor. Just then Joe came. 5 minutes before 2, he was almost late. But there on the floor was this guy, and he said, "Who is it?" And inside the parrot said, "It's the plumber." Appreciate that. Now there's another one. A couple of women came out of the mall together. They weren't together, but they came out at the same time looking for their cars. And all of a sudden, there was a horn honking. And one of the ladies said, "Oh, there I am." And the other lady said, "I wish I had a gadget that would help me locate my car." And the other lady said, "Well, that's my husband." Not so good. Okay. There was I've got a couple in my mind. I can't get them separated. I'll do the poem. I've done this poem before. It's one that I never intended to memorize, but it just memorized because it's that kind of a poem. And I've used it a few times in my ministry. "The Touch of the Master's Hand" by Myra Brooks Welch. It was battered and scarred, and the auctioneer thought it scarcely worth his while to spend much time with the old violin, but he held it up with a smile. "Oh, start the bidding for me," he cried. $1. $1, who'll make it 2? $2. $2 once, $2 twice, and going, but no. From the room far back, a gray-haired man came forward and picked up the bow, and wiping the dust from the old violin and tightening all the strings, he played a melody soft and sweet, as sweet as an angel sings. The music ceased, and the auctioneer, with a voice that was quiet and low, said, "What am I bid for the old violin?" And he held it up with a bow. $1,000. 1,000, who'll make a 2? 2,000. 2,000, who'll make a 3? 2,000 once, 2,000 twice, and going and gone, said he. The people cheered, and some of them said, we don't understand what change that's worth. What was the reply? The touch of the Master's hand. And many a people with life out of tune, battered and scarred by sin, is auction cheap to a thoughtless crowd, much like the old violin. And there's a pottage, a game, and he travels on. He's going once, he's going twice, he's going and almost gone when the Master comes. And the foolish crowd will never understand the worth of a soul and the change that is wrought by the touch of the Master's hand. Thank you.
Thank you for your bravado, Fred. That was wonderful. Now we have Jim Dickinson, who I believe will be singing and playing ukulele. And if he's brave enough, he may do his special piano number.
Forget the piano. You've got a professional. The last couple of years, I've tried to sing some old songs. Since I never learned to play the guitar, I was substituting my cheap Sears Roebuck ukulele that I bought, I think, probably the late 40s, when Arthur Godfrey made the ukulele popular for a while. And I thought maybe this time I'd try to sing an old popular song from another era when the ukulele was popular, the 1920s, the era of raccoon coats, I think, and flapper dresses, ladies doing the Charleston. Got to see whether my dog has sleeves or not. Okay. Your lips tell me no, no, but there's yes, yes in your eyes. I keep missing your kissing just because I wasn't wise. I'll stop my scheming and dreaming, 'cause I realize your lips tell me no, no, but there's yes, yes in your eyes. Your lips tell me no, no, but there's yes, yes in your eyes. I keep missing your kissing just because I wasn't wise. I'll stop my scheming and dreaming, 'cause I realize your lips tell me no, no, but there's yes, yes in your eyes.
Hear it one more time.
Pardon?
Let's hear it one more time.
Well, I couldn't find the music and the chords don't really fit, but all right, is that okay? Your lips tell me no, no, but yes, yes in your eyes. I keep missing your kissing just because I wasn't wise. I'll stop my scheming and dreaming, 'cause I realize your lips tell me no, no, but there's yes, yes in your eyes. There are a lot of great songs from the 20s. Interesting that my daughter and her husband, Lion's son, play here with our group from the Mission Valley Ukulele Group. And a lot of the songs they sing are from that 1920s era. They were here. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, Jim. That was tremendous. And we do have a little bit of nostalgia tonight. Next, we have Mary Wasilko, who will be reading a selection.
This will be a story. This will be a story about an old lady that
Just project a little bit.
there was once an old lady. There was once an old-fashioned lady. My friend is rather old-fashioned lady, always quite built, delicate, elegant, especially in language. She and her husband were planning a week's vacation in Florida. So she rode to a campground and asked for a reservation. She wanted to make sure the campground was fully equipped, but didn't know how to ask about the toilet facilities. She just could not bring herself to write the word toilet in her letter. After much deliberation, she finally came down with the term bathroom commode. But after writing that down, she thought she was being too forward. So she wrote the entire letter and referred to the bathroom commode merely as the BC. Does the campground have its own BC, is what she actually wrote. Well, the campground owner wasn't old-fashioned at all. And when he got the letter, he just couldn't figure out what the woman was talking about. That BC business really stumped him. After worrying about it for a while, he showed the letter to several couples. But they couldn't imagine what the lady meant either. So the campground owner finally came to the conclusion that the lady must be asking about the location of the local Baptist church. Sat down and wrote the following reply. Dear Madam, I regret the delay in answering your letter, but I now take the pleasure of informing you that a BC is located 9 miles north of the campground and is capable of seating 250 people at one time. It is located in a beautiful pine grove and is open only on Sundays and Wednesdays. I admit it is quite a distance away if you are in the habit of going regularly. But no doubt you will be pleased to know that a great number of people take their lunch along and make a day of it. They usually arrive early and stay late. My daughter met her husband in the BC. The last time my wife and I went, it was so crowded we had to stand up the whole time we were there. Sometimes it is so crowded there are 5 to a seat. It may interest you to know that right now there is a supper plan to raise money to buy more seats. They are going to hold it in the basement of the BC. It pains me much to not be able to go more regularly, but it is surely not due to a lack of desire on my part. As we grow older, it seems to be more of an effort, particularly in the cold weather. If you decide to come to our campground, perhaps I could go with you the first time you go and sit with you and introduce you to all the other folks. We will be sure to get a seat up front where you can be seen by everyone. Remember, we are a friendly community. Sincerely yours, the campground owner. Author unknown.
Thank you, Mary. That was a treasure. And now we have a Reader's Theater scene that would be presented by Ted King and Mary Ann Anderson.
Where's Mary?
Right here.
You see Mary's in her Wall Street suit.
Chairs out there.
You can move those while I'm doing this. You Can't Take It With You was a smash Broadway hit in 1936 as the U.S. was coming out of the Depression. Its theme was that making money wasn't the reason for living. Human relationships and enjoying art, people, nature, and experiences were. The 1938 movie starring Lionel Barrymore as Grandpa Vanderhoff won the Oscar for Best Actor. Grandpa had been a highly successful stockbroker and had invested in a fine old home and adjoining property around the corner from Columbia. But when income taxes were imposed in 1914, he stopped working because he didn't want his earning to be spent on things he didn't approve of. His three-generational family had lived only on what his property brought in. Suddenly, the IRS tracked him down and are threatening now to jail him for not paying taxes on income from his property. At the same time, his granddaughter has become engaged to a wealthy young man whose parents drop in unexpectedly. Grandpa defends himself to the boy's mother, a highly successful businesswoman who has confessed to getting indigestion from stressing out over work. Here are Mrs. Kirby and Grandpa Vanderhoff.
Okay, can you?
Okay, we'll do our little thing here, standing. You just had heard the announcement where they were going to adopt this boy, he ain't a little boy, into the other family. And then I guess I start out like here. It says, what I feel is that Tommy is too nice a boy to wake up 20 years from now with nothing in his life but stocks and bonds.
How's that?
Mixed up and unhappy, the way you are.
I beg your pardon, Mr. Vanderhorf. I am a very happy woman.
Are you really?
Certainly I am.
I don't think so. What do you think you get, where do you think you get your indigestion from? Happiness? Not so. You get it because most of the time, your time is spent in doing things you don't want to do.
I don't do anything I don't want to do.
Oh, yes, you do. You said last night that at the end of a week in Wall Street, you're pretty near crazy. Why do you keep going on with this?
Why do I keep on? Why? That's my business. A woman can't give up her business.
Why not? You're getting all the money you need. You can't take it with you.
That's a very easy thing to say, Mr. Vanderhofer. But I have spent my entire life building up my business.
And what did it get you? Same kind of mail every morning, same kind of deals, same kind of meetings, same dining at night, and same indigestion. What does the fun come in? Don't you think that you ought to take something more, Mr. Kirby, you must have wanted more than this when you started out. We haven't got too much time, you know. Any of us don't have too much time.
Well, what do you expect me to do? Live the way you do? Do nothing?
Well, I have a lot of fun. Time enough for everything. To read, to talk, to visit the zoo now and then, practice my darts, even have time to notice when springtime comes around. Do you know, see anybody I don't want to see? I don't have 6 hours of things to do in the morning every day before I go 1 hour to do what I want to do. Or I haven't taken bicarbonate of soda in 35 years. What's the matter with that?
The matter with that? Suppose we all did it. A fine world we'd have. Everybody going to the zoos. Don't be ridiculous, Mr. Vanderhofer. Who would do the work?
There's always people that like to work. You can't stop them. Inventors, and they fly the ocean. There's always people who go down to Wall Street too, because they like it. But from what I have seen of you, I don't think you're one of them. I think you're missing something.
I'm not aware of missing anything.
I wasn't either until I quit. I used to go down to that office at 9 o'clock sharp every morning, no matter how I felt. Lay awake nights for fear I might miss a contract. Used to worry about the world too. What I'm trying to say is that I've had 35 years that nobody can take away from me, no matter what they do to the world. Do you see?
Yes, I do see. And it's a very dangerous philosophy, Mr. Vanderhoef. It's un-American.
Okay.
The end.
Well, something that some people can take away will be the birthday cards that I neglected to have handed out at the beginning of the program. So if Hazel Johnson, the creator of those birthday cards, will come forward, and George is going to hand them out to you, George Sherry. Then we'll have intermission and sing.
First of all, I want to wish happy birthday to all the birthday people. First one is Patty Barrington, April 8th. It's Patty Axar. Vernon Beck, April 11th.
Is Vernon here?
Yes. Fred Collins, April 13th.
I was going to say something.
Okay.
Fred just started his second 95 years.
Congratulations.
Yes, every day.
Kate Elijah, April 13th. Is Kate here?
Is Kay here?
I think so. E.T., April 13th. Is E.T. here? Betty Jo Stinson, April 20th.
Is Betty Jo here?
You're on the roll.
Started out good. Fay wages, April 20th.
Yes. Yes, happy birthday.
Fay Brisk, April 24th. Is Fay here? I don't think so. John Krieg, April 27th.
I saw him earlier today. Yes.
Ted King, April 28th.
Yeah.
Hello, Ted's here. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Lord bless you. Happy birthday to you.
Well, now it says intermission. Did you want to go ahead and play some civil songs right now? Certainly. How many of you know?
All know this one, and we'll give it a little bounce. Just a closer walk with me. Jesus and
Thank you, Betty. Isn't she wonderful at being in Fountain? Okay, and we're going to continue with Big John Rader doing a poem by Robert Service. You all remember those expressive poems, right?
Thank you, folks. We've always, it's usually kind of Robert W. Service poems about every year. This year, I'm going to do the cremation of Sam McGee. There are strange things done in the midnight sun by the men who moil for gold. The Arctic trails have their secret tales that would make your blood run cold. The northern lights have seen queer sights, but the queerest they ever did see was the night on the marge of Lake Labarge. I cremated Sam McGee. Now Sam McGee was from Tennessee, where the cotton blooms and blows. Well, he left his home in South to roam around the pole, God only knows. He was always cold, but the land of gold seemed to hold him like a spell. He was well, he often say, in his homely way, he'd sooner live in hell. On a Christmas day, we were mushing our way over the Dawson Trail. Talk of your cold, though the park was full, stabbed like a driven nail. If your eyes would close, then the lashes froze, so sometimes we couldn't see. It wasn't much fun, but the only one to whimper was Sam McGee. That very night, as we lay packed tight in our robe beneath the snow, and the dogs were fed, and the stars overhead were dancing to and fro, he turned to me and Cap says he, I'll cash in this trip, I guess. And if I do, I'm asking you that you won't refuse my last request. Well, he seemed so low I couldn't say no. Then he said with a sort of moan, it's a cursed cold and it's got right hold till I'm chilled clean through to the bone. Yet tain't being dead, my uncle dread, of the icy grave that pains. So I want you to swear that foul or fair, you'll cremate my last remains. A pal's last need is a thing to heed, so I swore I would not fail. And we started out on the streak of dawn, but God, he looked ghastly pale. He crouched on a sleigh and he raved all day of his home in Tennessee. And before nightfall, a corpse was all that was left of Sam McGee. There wasn't a breath in that land of death, and I hurried horror-driven with a corpse half hid that I couldn't get rid because of a promise given. It was lashed to the sleigh, and it seemed to say, you may tax your brawn and brain, but you promised me, and it's up to you to cremate these last remains. Now, a promise made is a debt unpaid, and the trail has its own stern code. In the days to come, though my lips were dumb, in my heart, how I cursed that load. In the long, long night, by the lone firelight, while the huskies round in a ring, howled out their woes to the homeless snows. Oh God, I loathed that thing. And every day that quiet clay seemed to heavy and heavier grow. And on I went, though the dogs were spent and the grub was getting low. The trail was bad, and I felt half mad, but I swore I would not give in. I'd often sing to the hateful thing, and it hearkened with a grin. Till I came to the marge of Lake Labarge, and a derelict there lay. It was jammed in the ice, but I saw in a trice it was called the Alice May. And I looked at it, and I thought of it, and I looked at my frozen chum. Then, here, I said with a sudden cry, it's my crematorium. Some planks I poured from the cabin floor, and I lit the boiler fire. Some coal I found that was lying around, and I heaped the fuel higher. The flames just soared, and the furnace roared, such a blaze you seldom see. And I bored a hole in the glowing coal and stuffed in Sam McGee. Then I made a hike, for I didn't like to hear him sizzle so. And the heavens scowled, and the huskies howled, and the wind began to blow. 'Twas an icy cold, with the hot sweat rolled down my cheeks, and I didn't know why. And the greasy smoke in the inky cloak went streaking down the sky. I do not know how long in the snow I wrestled with ghostly fear, but the stars came out and they danced about, ere again I ventured near. I was sick with dread, but I bravely said, I'll just peep inside. I guess he's cooked. It's time I looked, then the doors opened wide. And there sat Sam, looking cool and calm, in the heart of the furnace roar. And he wore a smile, you could see him mile, and he said, please close the door. It's fine in here, but I greatly fear you'll let in a cold and storm. Since I left Plum Tree down to Tennessee, it's the first time I've been warm. There are strange things done in the midnight sun by the men who moil for gold. The Arctic trails have their secret tales that would make your blood run cold. The northern lights have seen queer sights, but the queerest they ever did see was that night on the marge of Lake Labarge. I cremated Sam McGee.
Thanks, John, that was priceless. Next, we have George Sherry.
And so I'll be doing a reading from Peter Marshall's book. Actually, it was his biography. The book is A Man Called Peter, and it's a biography by his wife, Catherine Marshall, his widow, Catherine Marshall. Peter Marshall was one of America's best-loved ministers of the 20th century. He was born in Scotland. He wanted to be a sailor, and the British Navy would take young boys, actually they weren't much more than boys, at age 15 years and 9 months. When Peter was 14 years, he just couldn't wait to get into the Navy. So one night he aged 1 year and 9 months. And he reported to the Navy recruiter, and I guess they took him in for 2 days, and then they discovered that really he wasn't 15 years and 9 months at all, so they sent him home. And at any rate, he immigrated to the United States. He did become a minister, and if you've had enough birthdays like most of us here, you'll know that he served some time as the chaplain of the United States Senate, and very, very well liked by both the Democrats and the Republicans. And he used to tell a lot of stories. So I'm going to read one of the stories that he told. This is about a little boy. I don't know how old he was, maybe 5, maybe 6. And there was one night he just simply would not eat his dessert. And his dessert consisted of prunes. So here we go. Remember, Peter Marshall was born in Scotland. A little boy in Aberdeen, Scotland was disciplined by his mother, who used to say to him when he was naughty, "Now God won't like that." And when he was particularly unruly or disobedient, she would say, "God will be angry." Usually these admonitions were sufficient, but one night when she had prunes for his dessert at supper, he rebelled. He refused to finish the prunes on his plate. She pled. She coaxed. Finally she said, "Now God won't like this. God doesn't like little boys to refuse all their prunes." But the little fellow was quite unmoved. She went further to say, "God will be angry with you." But for some reason or another, the little boy stubbornly refused to take the last 2 prunes which lay in his plate. Dark blue, wrinkled tokens of his rebellion. "Well," said his mother, "you must now go to bed. You have been a very naughty boy, and God is angry with you." So she packed him upstairs and put him to bed. No sooner had she come down than a violent thunderstorm broke out. The lightning was more vivid than usual. The thunder clumped up and down the sky with shattering reverberations. The suddenly angry wind threw handfuls of rain against the windows. It was a most violent storm, and she thought her little son would be terrified, and that she should go up and comfort him. Quietly she opened his bedroom door, expecting to find him whimpering in fear, perhaps with the covers pulled up over his head. But to her surprise, he was not in bed at all, but had gone over to the window. With his face pressed against the window pane, she heard him mutter, My, such a fuss to make over two little prunes.
Well, I guess I'm next, so I'd like to call my friend Barbara Wales, whom you may know. She and her friend Jack entertained us at our march, our St. Patrick's Day program, and Barb is going to play for me, and we discovered that we went to different schools together in central Montana.
30 miles apart, I think, isn't it?
Do you think I need a microphone?
No. I don't think you will.
The first song I'm going to sing is one I performed in a long-running production of Jacques Brel in 1980. And when I was deciding to do this song, I thought, wow, that's too morbid. I don't know if I want to do that, but you take the role, you know. And I said, wow, that doesn't remind me of my grandmother. The title of the song was Old Folks. My grandmother is in her late 70s, and she's out helping people and representing Montana and Washington to get Medicare enacted. But by 1991, we lost grandmother. And she went through a lot of the stages that are described in this song that Jacques Brel so poetically wrote about. I hope you like the song. It is called Old Folks. The old folks don't talk much, and they talk so slowly when they do. Though rich they are poor, their illusions are gone. They share one heart for two. Their It's Sunrise, Sunset from Fiddler on the Roof. And it's again about major experiences in our lives. I think it is a song. All right. Sunrise, sunset. Is this the little girl I carry? Is this the little boy at play? I don't remember growing older. And did they? When did she get to be a beauty? When did we grow to be so tall? Was it in yesterday that they were small? Sunrise, sunset, sunrise, sunset, swiftly go the days. See this turn overnight to sunflowers, blossoming even as we gaze. Sunrise, sunset, sunrise, sunset, swiftly flow the years. One season following another, laden with happiness and tears. Now is the little boy a bridegroom? Now is the little girl a bride? Under the canopy I see them side by side. Place the ring on her finger, share the sweet wine and break the glass. Soon a full circle will have come to pass. Sunrise, sunset, sunrise, sunset, swiftly flow the days. See things turn overnight to sunflowers, blossoming even as we gaze. Sunrise, sunset, sunrise, sunset, swiftly flow the years. One season following another, laden with happiness and tears. And now, we are going to have wonderful entertainment by Betty Crowley, and we're going to have refreshments. I guess we'll serve the refreshments, and then Betty will play and sing along. Be sure and sing along. So we'll get that ready if you want to play the interlude. I just don't want to be turning over.
Yeah, getting there. Doing therapy now.
They missed him so bad, they opened up the bolt.
That's what I heard.